The Undead Celluloid Society welcomes you into another podcast. My name is Michael,
And I'm Rachel.
and today we are doing a special release episode on The Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, released in 2000. The Blair Witch 2, as I'm going to call it because their spoiler is no Book of Shadows, is a psychological thriller about the fictitious Blair Witch Project and people that are obsessed with it. They go out into the woods. They camp, and then all their stuff gets trashed, and then they spend the rest of the movie trying to figure out what happened that night. It's a very different tonal shift from the first film. It's not a straight up horror movie about people getting lost in the woods. It's really more of kind of like the mind unspiraling or spiraling out of control. Rachel, how did you feel about like the different tone of this movie versus like the first one? Were you expecting more of the same with a Blair Witch 2 versus the Book of Shadows?
Honestly, I was. Or if not, like the same thing, but another found footage of people going into the woods and disappearing.
Right.
But the psychological thriller aspect of it, I think, brought a really good, like a different angle that I feel like the first book or the first movie needed. What am I trying to say here? It made you question everything you thought you knew about, or at least in my case, who hasn't done all this research, but it made me question everything that I thought I knew about thought in general about the first movie, and whether or not the Blair Witch was real as far as the movie.
Like in the lore of
things.
Things.
Or if it really was just a mass hysteria type, like almost like herd mentality,
Yeah.
Or like the placebo effect.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good reference.
Yeah, so I mean, I really enjoyed the angle that they took. The way that they did it was a little weird. We'll get into that as far as the studio's take versus what the director really wanted how the director really wanted this movie to go. But I did enjoy the psychological aspect of it a lot.
I did too. I thought it was pretty well acted. I mean, I'm familiar with Jeffrey Donovan from Burn Notice. That was one of the first like USA shows I ever watched, but I thought it was really well acted. He's a pretty good actor. And not just him. I thought that Kim was really good. I thought that Erica was really good. I thought that Tristan and was Steven? Was that the other one?
Yeah, Steven.
I thought they were all really well acted. The guy that was kind of cheesy, kind of over the top, seemed almost like the studio prop of the sheriff.
The sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff was just God damn.
Yeah. And it's almost like they were like, how can we epitomize a stereotypical small town redneck sheriff? And bam, that's what they put on screen.
It's funny you say that. I was thinking the studio was looked at the film that Joe Berlinger made and was like, how can we fuck this up? And make it make less sense than what it was supposed to make.
Yeah, because the sheriff, like, if you took any and every part except for maybe like the ending when they were interrogating them, if you took him out of every other scene, it literally would have had no effect. Like, he added nothing except to piss me off.
Well, so if you think about it too, it's interesting that you say that, because in those interrogation scenes, he's not really as out of control as he is in the added scenes. Not as bad.
The other thing is the only person that he really talks to is Jeff.
He talks to Kim. No, another deputy talks to Kim.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, he only talks to Jeff. He only interacts with Jeff. So maybe he was just completely added. I don't know.
And maybe because they're like, okay, I'm probably spiraling with this one.
Not the spiral away.
How in the explanation video that we saw that one guy did, how
shout out to Good Bad Flicks, by the way. You did an awesome ass video on the Blair Witch 2, man. It helped make a lot of sense for Rachel, not just to Rachel, but to me as well.
It did. It explained so many things, and it pointed out the inspiration pieces that the director took in making this movie, and it pointed out all the hidden things that I was not smart enough to get. Like, I honestly didn't see anything.
So funny that you mentioned that, because the first time I ever watched Blair Witch 2, I'm going to drop the Book of Shadows. The first time I watched Blair Witch 2, me and my brother rented it on DVD. The week after we had watched Blair Witch 1, when he told me it was real. And then never told me it wasn't real. Still salty about that. So we rented it on DVD, and one of the special features was The Secret of Ezra Rever. And tried to go through the movie with it myself. I think I was like 14 at the time. Was not smart enough to get it myself either. By that point, the website had been long debunked too, so you couldn't even enter the stuff in to like that website's not even online anymore. So yeah, it does make it like Good Bad Flicks said, it makes it kind of a scavenger hunt a little bit. It makes you want to rewatch it and find those like secret things. Though, I mean, they're like in such ambiguous parts of the movie. It's like you have to like be dissecting that movie.
Yeah, like how did people even notice these things unless they had like the director's notes or something? Yeah,
well, I mean, you get the director's notes from the special features, but it's like there's so much time that's going into that. So it's like it's almost another investment of itself. I think that's probably, in my opinion, aside from Far, Far Away Idol and Shrek 2, the greatest special feature thing that I've ever seen for like a film, like on a DVD.
Yeah.
Because it requires you to go back and watch it again and like look for that stuff.
Yeah. And that, I feel like that really goes along with the marketing aspect, like how they did with the first movie. The marketing aspect was like, you know, it made you want to get involved past just watching the movie for entertainment. It made you want to watch it and find these things. So like how it said, you know, some people went to the movie theater and watched this multiple times.
Yeah, Jeff said he watched it 17 times.
Oh yeah, but so I really like that. But what I was getting at was when they pointed out that when the sheriff walked in front of that two-way glass.
Yeah, the mirror. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a ghostly figure.
I didn't notice that.
Because the sheriff doesn't really interact with anybody else. So what if he...
Oh, so you're thinking he's like a spirit?
Or maybe like even like a figment of Jeff's imagination, because Jeff is apparently insane. Like he was in the loony bin for a while or something.
Actually, Rachel, that's a really interesting thing that you bring up, because he does only talk to Jeff. He doesn't interrogate the other people. So you might be onto something there. You might be onto something. You can't see Rachel tapped her head. I was like, you might be onto something with that.
Oh, maybe I am smart.
Yeah, now that I think about it, he does only interact with Jeff.
It makes you think about it, right?
So there might be something there. I don't know. We'd have to ask Joe himself.
Yeah.
One day when we get big enough, we'll ask you, Joe, what that was all about.
Or maybe it literally was nothing, and we're just
picking into this movie.
Yeah, we're just throwing shots in the dark here.
Well, to be fair, you put a lot of like you and the studio. I will say the studio did fuck up your movie, but you guys put a lot of like hidden messages in there to make you like dissect everything. So if we're looking too far into this, Not our fault.
Not our fault.
Your guys' fault.
But
I do like the parallels between this movie. I liked at the beginning of this film how it shows like the real world impact of the Blair Witch. Like it shows all the interviews. It shows the biggest thing for me was like how it showed how it impacted the small town. Like those people didn't want people there.
They would drive them out of town.
When we watch Good Bad Flicks film or video on Book of Shadows, he also mentioned that they had actually chased them out of town when they tried to film the second one.
Yeah, and they snuck back in.
They snuck back in to film like other people of the crew. But it's like, I kind of feel for that small town. Because I mean, you imagine if like fucking Lost Creek got blown up by like millions of people just coming here because someone made some like sketchy ass movie.
Honestly, though, it would probably help like boost our I don't want to say the economy, but you know that brings money in.
It would. That's what Jeff represented. Jeff represented the entrepreneur. Yeah. So each character, interestingly, again from Good Bad Flicks, we're going to shout this guy out a lot.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
This is based on 6 characters in search of an author, which is different character types. Kind of lost, kind of figuring their own thing. They all represent different things. It makes a lot of sense too because Erica is the Wiccan, representing the witch culture. Kim is the renegade, the outcast, basically, that likes the movie for its edginess. Tristan and Steven are the intellectuals.
Yeah, the debaters. Yeah. And one is like pro rational thinking, and then Tristan is pro, letting believing in
the Blair Witch.
Like she says, perspective is reality.
Yeah, because
perception is reality. My bad.
Because they, I forget what the name of their book is, but she says it one way and he corrects her and says it the other way. So it's the opposite. There's a lot of opposites in this movie. I mean, there's a lot of reverse too,
and backwards.
Yeah. And Jeff is the entrepreneur. He is taking advantage of the situation. He's selling dirt. He's selling sticks.
Yeah.
He's selling everything that he can. Blair Witch.
Yes.
But yeah, so with that out of the way, basically the gist is that Jeff is running this
tour group.
And he's taking Steven, Tristan, Kim, and Erica out. We get to meet Kim in an extra gothy way, meeting her at the cemetery where they filmed in Blair Witch 1. And she's laying on Eileen Treacle's grave, who is one of the stories we heard in the first Blair Witch about how she got pulled into the water by the Blair Witch.
And drowned.
With the hairy arm. Yes. So, I think that's a really cool Easter egg.
Yeah, but my favorite Easter egg, if you can consider this an Easter egg, was when Jeff...
Is it later on in the movie?
No. It's, okay, I guess it's not really an Easter egg, but it's something that you don't really think about until the end of the movie, and maybe if you do some research like we did, when Jeff says, video lies.
No, film lies.
Film lies and video tells the truth or something.
As he's shoving that camera in her face.
Yeah. And this whole movie is based around, they have video evidence and then the film of the movie. So it's basically telling you that the video evidence is what you really need to pay attention to.
And not the film.
And not the film, because it shows at the end that... like what happens in the film as far as, Tristan getting hung and Erica dying somehow, it paints a picture of Tristan being possessed.
Yes.
And Erica, I think, also being possessed.
Yeah. Erica mentioned at one point that she wanted to be Ellie Kedward, the Blair Witch's apprentice.
Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But it's interesting though that it's not her that's directing him; it's Tristan. So when they find these tapes because of all their stuff getting ruined, and they play it backwards, and they find themselves doing like a bunch of like satanic shit, like dancing naked. They're having sex with each other. Tristan and Steven are married. Steven is fucking Erica, and Jeffrey is fucking Kim. And then they're dancing around naked. She hands them weapons. She looks like she's casting some kind of spell in this fire.
And they're bowing to her.
Then there's a shot of Erica completely naked with a skull in between her crotch, like kind of like dancing on this grave. So
with Tristan standing behind her.
Tristan is standing behind her, kind of like controlling her, is what it looks like. She hands them all weapons. They go off into it. Interestingly, when we see the film of them brutally slaughtering the people of Coffin Rock, we don't see Tristan there. It's just the naked four.
Right.
So, and Tristan also says at one point that she's no longer Tristan. She's the Blair Witch. She didn't say she's the Blair Witch, but that's what we're assuming.
But that happened in the film.
That happened in the film. It did not happen in the video. So
in the video, it shows her, she's confused, like wondering why they're all calling her a witch. And then it shows Steven pushing her off of the walkway.
Yeah.
And he turns around, he goes, fucking witch. And he's like, that's not how it happened. That's not how it happened. Oh, and he's
breaking down too.
Yeah. And so that honestly is probably my favorite just aspect of this whole movie.
Is how mindfuckery it was.
Yeah, but how they literally followed the video, film lies, video doesn't thing.
They did. They followed that very well. I think the one I loved this movie, but I think that the one thing that did kind of ruin it was the studio with the added stuff. The cuts of gratuitous violence throughout that made no sense because we didn't know what was going on, like during the beginning and then randomly throughout, and then and then they would randomly show cuts of them being interrogated at the police station, so we know they did something wrong. If that all would have came at the end, that would have been a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I feel like the thriller horror aspect of it would have set in better if they hadn't thrown all of those random clips in.
I 100% agree. I also think that having Frank Sinatra's Witchcraft at the beginning would have been a lot better.
Than
the Disposable Teens by Marilyn Manson, because it sets. I mean, with the original director's cut, because it is kind of supposed to be a lighthearted romp. It does start off lighthearted. What I'm referencing is that at the beginning of the movie, Marilyn Manson's Disposable Teens, which I love the song. I love Marilyn Manson. Is playing at the beginning of the movie, and then it gets intercut with it's like an overshot. It's an awesome overshot of the forest. It looks great, but. And then it gets intersected with like scenes of like violence up close of like people stabbing people and stuff. We don't know what's going on. Later on you find out that it's the group killing the other group. But in the original cut, there was no gratuity. There's no added scenes of people getting murdered. They don't get killed at all. And then it's just this overheading shot. Awesome shot, probably the best shot of the movie of the Black Hills forest, and it's Frank Sinatra playing it, and it kind of like eases you into the film, because at the beginning when Jeff's talking about like going to see the movie so many times and like all this other stuff, it's kind of funny. I'm laughing in this movie.
Yeah, and he was like, people come up to me and they give me a hug and they squeeze me tight, and they're like,
I know it's real.
I know it's real, and he's like, and I squeeze them just as tight and be like, I know it is too, or something like that.
It's such a parody.
Start out very lighthearted.
And I think that would have made I would really love to see the director's cut of this.
I would too.
I hope because Good Bad Flicks mentioned about maybe Shout Factory would do this. Shout Factory, please release the director's cut of this. Me and Rachel will watch it, and we'll do this episode all over again.
But imagine like how many people would watch it too, because there is so much.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I don't want to say controversy, but kind of about the the studio cut versus the director's cut, and nobody's seen a director's cut. So I think it would draw a lot of attention, and I think it'd be great.
Is it not funny that they changed it because they thought audiences would be too stupid, and then that was what audiences complained about?
Yeah.
That is pretty funny. It's like they don't know their audience that they're going for. Horror, I will say, the horror community, when it comes to filmmakers, actors, the people that create it, and the people that consume it, they get it's a lot better now, but especially early on, they got such a bad rap. Like,
what do you mean?
Well, because they thought, people want to see just like blood and guts and like no thinking, like and sex and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the studio added, and that's what people were like, this is kind of not what it's like, kind of out of place.
Yeah, they didn't realize that people actually wanted, if you're gonna come out with a psychological thriller, they want the psychological part of it to be,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, and this is the hill I'm going to die on, I think that when horror is done right, it's the best cinema.
Like, absolutely.
When it is what it's supposed to be, and I think that, especially now, Rachel, we're so fortunate because we are in such a great age for horror, because people are actually putting thought and care into the movies that they're making. Not all, but I mean, there's a lot. Like, for instance, Nosferatu that came out this year was a fantastic movie.
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, we'll cover it at some point.
Okay.
Eventually, the podcast is going to grow from just bad movies into just horror movies in general.
No, we're not just watching bad movies, though.
No, we're not. This was not a bad movie. I did not think it was. The studio ruined this movie. This movie I would give this movie, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, as it stands right now, like a 6.
I was about to say the same thing.
But from what I've seen from the director's cut, it might be like an 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Like from the way it sounds like it could be a lot better.
Yeah, and I feel like even though there is a lot of people talking about theories and stuff like that, there is still a lot of that, but I think had they released the director's cut, from what we have heard and researched about it, I feel like it would have blown up 10 times more than it did.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So they really missed out by throwing out, not by, adding the things that they added and kind of going over Joe Berlinger's head.
I agree. I think, well, hey, with the new Blair Witch movie that they're going to be making in the next couple of years, guys, this is your chance now to release a director's cut for it. People will buy it. Like, release it right before the movie comes out. People will definitely buy it.
Yeah, and that would create so much hype for the new movie.
It would. And I think, we'll buy it. We'll watch it.
Absolutely. We'll watch it, review it.
We'll watch it, we'll review it. We'll do whatever you want for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's kind of our thoughts when it comes to the Blair Witch. Oh, by the way, I keep dropping the Blair. Oh, I mentioned at the beginning, Book of Shadows. What the fuck's the Book of Shadows? There's no Book of Shadows.
There's literally no mention of any sort of like.
There's no book.
Yeah.
There's a book that Tristan and Steven are writing, but it's like a
research piece.
It's a research piece on like if the Blair Witch is real or not.
Yeah, it's not like some mythical Book of Shadows like type. Adding that was so dumb.
They were just trying to make it edgy.
Yeah, but if you're gonna name it Book of Shadows, at least throw in a Book of Shadows.
Yeah, give me a freaking spell book.
Something.
Do you ever watch Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost?
I did not.
There's an evil book in that.
Oh.
And we'll have to watch it sometime. That movie is so awesome. But that's what it reminds me of with the Book of Shadows. That's the Book of Shadows.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry. Went on a little tangent there. But yeah, that's our thoughts on this. So this is a special release episode. We're going to release this in between the Blair Witch and the Blair Witch 2016. So we're not going to do a vacation rating for this one. We're just going to, go on based on from what it sounds like, if you've been listening the last 25 minutes, we both like it. We think it's well. Would you recommend this to anybody?
Yeah, I would. And I would also recommend the Good Bad Flicks exploring Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows.
Watch that after, though, because it spoils the movie.
Yeah, but I would recommend that too, because honestly, that opened my eyes to so much more than just watching the movie.
Yeah, Artisan, if you're going to release this movie with the director's cut, put Good Black's Bad Flicks film, pay him money, pay him whatever he wants, put it as a special feature, because that is great.
It was so well done.
It talks shit on you guys a little bit, but you need it. You need the shit talked on you.
Yeah, especially because it was done 11 years ago.
Yeah, 2014. That's way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get there one day.
Yeah. But would you recommend it, Michael?
Absolutely. Especially if you watched the first one. And I think that Dallas is shaking his head. Dallas, Rachel's boyfriend, guys. Dallas really liked this film too. Dallas does not like the movies we watch typically.
He really doesn't.
But he liked this one. That's our thoughts on this. That is our special episode release. That's our Valentine's Day episode. We'll say that.
Gosh.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day that Rachel doesn't celebrate. No. But yeah, so until next time, we'll be covering the Blair Witch 2016, which is the direct sequel to the first one, ignoring this one. But until then, we thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. Give us a comment. Tell us what you think. Give us some recommendations for movies. We're happy to review whatever you guys want to watch.
Absolutely.
But until then, my name is Michael.
And I'm Rachel.
And we are the Undead Celluloid Society podcast. Thank you very much.